everyone. Nice to see you. I'm definitely doing a very odd time today, but I really need to get to sleep on time tonight because I'm pretty sleep deprived. So thanks for joining. Hey, Nicole. Hey, Scott. Got a few of my regulars in here. Really good to see you. Probably not going to be a lot of action in the chat, I'm guessing, but. Oh, Charlotte. Sorry, Charlotte. Charlotte is here. Lovely to see you, Charlie. Always good to see you. Hey, Mustang. Good to see you too. We're going to have a nice chat, guys. Okay. I always love my Australian evening time videos because I feel like we just have a lovely little group in here. Not that the other time isn't great, but it's a nice small group and we get to chat nicely. Hey, Jamie, welcome. And today we're going to talk about the Snapchat event at 1:51, which we talked about. Oh, hey, Adrienne. I was following you a bit earlier and now you're following me. Sorry that I hopped out. I was talking to Ash about our video for tomorrow, and I was also trying to make this Delphi primer that I'm going to put on the channel because we're getting a whole lot of new subs, and I know some of them may not have the history of Delphi, so I thought if I made just a really short video that explains the Delphi case, really tiny, which was really hard to do because obviously a lot of us in here have an extensive knowledge of Delphi. So where do you cut it down? I did a really brief explainer, but we can always do that as a series. Sorry, I just knocked my table. Hi, all the wonderful people who are in here. Lovely to see you all again. Oh, you're awesome too, Adrienne. Hey, Honeycomb, welcome. Hey, Carol. Oh my goodness, we got lots of cool people in here. I want to tell you guys a story because I always start with a bit of story time. So my best friend, who I lost in 2023 to breast cancer, her name was Adriana. And she was an amazing, beautiful soul, massive empath, really wise, definitely one of my soul sisters. And so interesting because I realized when I was talking to you, Adrienne, and I mentioned this to you as well, that not only is your name Adrienne and her name was Adriana, but you look really similar to her too. She had the beautiful long hair, the dark hair. She had the really striking eyes, and you just have a look of her about you. So that's a bit of a quirky coincidence there, Adrienne. So just wanted to let you know that. Other quirky coincidence is I lost my cat and my dog around the same time, 2022 and 2023, and they were Daisy and Delilah. So they're Dee Dee. And isn't that interesting that my other really good friend here in the Delphi sphere's name is Dee Dee, Diana. So I don't know. I sometimes believe in these quirky spiritual things. I used to be a massive skeptic, but interestingly, since losing so many people that I love, I like to try and kind of lean into that space more. So I've told stories about this before. Obviously, the channel is inspired by beautiful Daisy Boo, who was the most adorable dog. And everything I do is in honor of all of those beautiful people I lost, including my dad as well. So beautiful people up in the sky watching over us. Okay, so let's get into this. No, I agree, Adrienne. I do not feel like we lose anyone. I do believe that there is some energy around us, and I believe they guide me. I believe they really do. So who knows? Maybe Adriana guided me to Adrienne. I wouldn't be surprised. You have a lot of similarities with her, just your temperament and your emotional empathy. Yeah, for sure. Yes, Scott, definitely Jungian synchronicity. I love Jung. When I studied Jung in my early days of university, when I was a little naive and a bit closed-minded, I was like, what is this stuff? It doesn't make sense. And then I revisited Jung probably in around the last year to 18 months, and I'm like, wow, everything that man says, I'm like, I'm with it. Like, it's amazing. I was more a Freud girl in the early days. Not sure why. I love the unconscious, and don't get me wrong, Freud had a lot of wonderful concepts, but some of them were a little bit unusual. Remember, I lost interest in Freud when I read an article of his in, I think it was first or second year of uni, and he was basically saying neuroticism is repressed perversion or something like that. And I was like, no, because I'm very neurotic. So I don't really want to believe that about myself, I suppose. Anyway, lovely to see everybody. I'm going to try and really watch the chat today rather than just talk. So the cocaine was a step too far, Scott says. Is that Jung that was interested in cocaine? I don't know enough. The weather's pretty bad in the UK, Charlie. Oh, that's no good. You guys are all heading into winter, and people like Scott and myself are in the heat. And today, I don't actually know what the weather was like because I've been in the clinic since 9 o'clock. So it's now 8 o'clock in the evening, and I have not left except to walk out of the clinic to get Uber Eats because I'm so lazy. So yeah. Oh, there you go. I did not know Freud had a Coke habit. I have a Coca-Cola habit. I got my Coca-Cola here. So yes, I haven't left the clinic today. I've done a lot of therapy and some supervision and a little bit of Delphi stuff now, and I'm gonna do an hour. I say that, and we'll still be here in 2 hours. But then I'm going to go home, have a good sleep, because Ash and I are going to come on tomorrow. We're going to talk about Kathy Allen's words around Rick in her interview with the police and what I make of it and what Ash makes of it. We haven't compared notes so that we can have an unbiased opinion. But I'm going to guess that Ash is going to agree with me because we usually are on the same page. Anyway, what I wanted to talk about today, I've always got something to talk about, is going back to that Snapchat event at 151, because I think it got a little bit lost in the weeds because I raised it on Kai's recommendation as a call, and it wasn't a call, but it is most likely a video. And then when we went to correct it, we were still deep in the audio output stuff and the cold shock theory. And I think everybody's sick of hearing about that stuff now. We have the explainers for those. Check them out. They are listed under those videos, and I think in the community section, and I will put them on the website at some point too. I'm always juggling too many different things, and with my ADHD brain, I forget them all. So I really need a personal assistant, but I don't have the money to hire one yet. So one day, or we'll just wait till the kids grow up. I did actually have my niece making a trail map while she was here visiting on holidays, but she's gone back home now. So she'll be back next summer in the Northern Hemisphere. So we'll get her to work again. Some child labor there. Obviously, jokes, guys. Anyway, good to see you all. I think I've said that already. Let's dive in. So I really want to get your opinion around this Snapchat, this Snapchat video, because I mean, we're just speculating here. Of course, we can't get any sort of physics involved here or chemistry. We're not going to be doing any of that today. It's a lot more speculation, but curious to see what you guys think and whether you think it's as big a deal as I do. Go. You don't need to see me on the screen anymore. So we're going to have the disclaimer up. You guys all know what the disclaimer is. These are just my personal opinions and speculation based on publicly available information. I am a clinical psychologist, and of course, a lot of what I say is informed by my training and my expertise as a psychologist, but I'm not operating as a clinical psychologist in this context, so there is no formal diagnosing, therapy, or expert opinion. I feel like I have to say that every single time. Apologies, I know it's a bit boring. Nobody who we talk about today is, everybody who we talk about today is assumed innocent unless proven guilty in a court of law, and even then, I think we may have some reservations when it comes to this case. And yeah, I'm not any sort of legal professional or digital forensic expert, although the amount of hours I've put into Knowledge C, do you think I can get that Celebrite qualification soon, guys, from the website? TD and I are onto it. No, I'm not. I'm not a digital forensic expert. I don't plan to be because I kind of like psychology. And I have an ultimate dream of working as a psychologist, as a clinician, running a therapy retreat, cat sanctuary for cats who are at the pound on death row and feral cats, and living out my days in that beautiful sanctuary on the coast with my cats, dogs, any sort of animal, to be honest, people who are wounded souls who want to come and join a therapy retreat, and working on the Innocence Project, or something similar from afar, using my systems thinking, pattern analysis brain to help other people like Rick who are in similar situations. Because let's face it, I'm pretty sure Rick Allen isn't the only man languishing in jail for a crime that he didn't commit. He's just the only man that I'm aware of at the moment. And as much as I'd love to have the time to focus on lots of cases, I don't think I do at the moment, but I absolutely intend on helping more people in the future. But let's focus on Rick at the moment. Now, Charlie has had communication with Rick. Charlie, are you still communicating with Rick? And how do you communicate with him at the moment? Because I know previously, I think it was on the iPad, but does he have an iPad now where he's housed? Let us know. Please, if you are communicating with Rick, anyone who watches the channel or Kathy, please let them know that we are not giving up, and this community is very much dedicated to justice for Rick, justice for Kathy, and justice for Abby and Libby. So we wish them the best, and our ultimate goal is to help the truth come out and justice for all of the innocent parties in this case. Now, I don't speak for everyone. Lots of respect for everyone in the chat. There are people who don't believe Rick is innocent or are unsure, and that's totally okay in here. All voices are welcome. Just a reminder to the chat, don't want to tone police. This chat usually doesn't need the reminder, but let's be kind to each other. Let's agree to disagree. You're totally allowed to disagree with each other, and you're allowed to disagree with me, as long as we always do it really kindly and respectfully. There's enough bullying and meanness already going on online. Let's not add to it. So I hope that everyone feels safe here. Okay, so without further ado, I'm so glad, Charlie, that he's aware of our support. I honestly do want to write to him. I did write to him on the iPad when he was at the previous center. I forget what it's called now, but I haven't written more recently. I suppose mainly because I've been working on this stuff a lot, but I would like to write to him because, I want him to know that we support him. And I'd like to also, I'd like to actually get to know him more personally, because I think, obviously that would be really helpful to understand a little bit more about him. Probably a curiosity thing here too, to see whether some of the hypotheses that I've had may be true or not. But I'd love to talk to Rick or Kathy, not to have them on my channel to use them for publicity, of course, but more because I want them to know that I do care, and I am going to continue to work hard to support everybody who is involved. I feel bad because I think that the families of Abby and Libby would continue to think that people supporting Rick are not doing right by Abby and Libby. But I think everyone who follows my channel knows I care so much about Abby and Libby, and I believe that the best way to achieve justice for those two girls is to ensure that the right people or person is convicted of this crime. And I don't believe that's Rick Allen. 100%, Charlie. I believe that Rick is a victim too. And the photo that we saw was horrendous. Everything that's happened here is horrendous. And those of us who believe Rick is innocent would all agree. And even those of us, I guess those in the chat and who watch the channel who believe he's guilty will still also agree that most of us agree that the conviction was not fair. So Scott's just agreed with us there. That's exactly what I was getting at. Goodness, that was synchronicity there, Scott. Okay, 100% Honeycomb. If you're in solitary confinement, you shouldn't look like Rick, particularly if you're in safekeeping. Well, absolutely. I mean, as many of you know, I worked in a correctional facility, and I used to be part of a team that was called the RIT team, and it's a team that basically is usually it's a medical staff member, so a nurse, usually a mental health nurse, but sometimes a general nurse, a psychologist, and a correctional officer, usually one of the more senior officers. And we would sit down every day with, if there was an offender that was in the safe cells, and we would talk about, what we needed to do to keep that person safe. And ideally, we would do the least restrictive practice. So where possible, possible, we would get them back out into the general population, or at least the protection population, with other inmates that we could trust to support them. We'd find ways to try and ease the suffering so that they weren't a risk of harm to themselves, and so they were safe. And if we did leave them in the safe cell, we had the camera on them. We were ensuring that no serious injury occurs. Now, of course, there are events where injury has still occurred to people under watch, and those are incredibly sad. There are, unfortunately, even in the best cases, people who get injured in custody, but really it should be something that's being tightly monitored, because the majority of people in custody are vulnerable people, particularly the ones that end up in a safe cell. So I am proud of the work that I used to do in correctional centres. I feel like there was a lot of care taken to ensure inmate safety, but obviously I live in a completely different country, and I worked in a jail that was absolutely focused on rehabilitation rather than punishment. So maybe a little bit of a different vibe to it. Okay, right, let's get into this Snapchat video. Is anybody here not familiar with what I'm talking about now? I'm going to pull it up on the screen. So let me know if you're not familiar with this event. It kind of got passed over. We had a wonderful live, I think about a week and a bit ago on this, but I jumped the gun a little bit. And as you know, I'm always willing to admit if I'm wrong. I'm not usually wrong, am I, though? Only joking. I am wrong at times. And in this case, I don't think that the wrongness was a massive wrongness. It was just a little wrongness. And so I thought this event maybe represented an incoming Snapchat video call, but in fact, it doesn't. And the reason I know that is because there is no audio output route change event. So in looking into the audio output route change stuff a bit more, I came back to this and realized if there's no audio output event, it's highly unlikely to be a live call, because that is required for a live call. However, it's usually required for a video too, as we see in the Bridge Guy video. But my understanding is that on Snapchat, that doesn't happen. So you can take a video with sound on Snapchat without audio output route changes. However, only if it is not a live video. Instead, it's a recorded video that you're sending as a snap. Now, correct me if I'm wrong on that, because that does seem a little bit weird, doesn't it? But according to my research, that is what's potentially going on here. Now, the reason that I think that this is a video rather than a picture or anything else is a couple of things. First of all, I believe Cecil misspoke. Thank you, Scott. You can do the fact checking for me today. I need a fact checker, and I do trust your fact checking. You're pretty good at it. So for anyone who doesn't know who I'm talking to, Sarah is Scott, and we've become good friends through this space, even though he still believes Rick's guilty. We forgive him of that because he's wise and he's kind and he is fun. So we still like him. This is not a space where you get banned because you believe Rick is guilty. Unlike some communities that ban the ones of us who don't think he's guilty, we're not going to fall into that trap here. You're allowed to think Rick is guilty, just don't be mean about it. Okay, that's all. And you're allowed to think Rick is innocent, and don't be mean about that either. How about we just don't be mean? I think that's an easy concept. Why do I feel like I'm talking to actually, no, I'm not even talking to my kids, because I don't even have to tell them not to be mean. Apparently, though, I'm mean, everybody, because I bought my son a more expensive laptop than I have, and he's only little, but I wouldn't sit with him and do CapCut because I was eating my dinner and relaxing at the end of the day. So I'm mean. That's the meanest thing I do, guys. Okay, right, let's get into this. I know that you don't always come here for my silly humor. Give me a second. I don't know what I've done. I've got the comments taking up, not the comments, but I've got the size of the comments taking up too much space on my screen, so I can't actually read much. That's annoying. Sometimes StreamYard is just glitchy. Oh, no, that was my fault. Sorry, StreamYard. Wasn't your fault. Where's everyone gone? Why are you guys all quiet? Come and talk, peoples. I want talking today. So we're looking here at this camera usage. Okay, so what was I saying? Cecil misspoke. Now, anyone who watches my channel knows that I'm not here to call anybody in this case names. I'm not here to discredit people, but I am here to point out errors. Okay, now my understanding is that I'm pretty sure I heard in an Andy Baldwin interview that he thinks Cecil is a pretty decent guy. And I don't believe that Cecil has necessarily tampered with any data. Okay. Hey, Ted, nice to see you. I know it's a very odd time for you guys. It's only 8:20 here. So I appreciate a lot of you may be half asleep, but here the night is still young. So feel free to stay, but you can also catch the replay if you like after if you fall asleep, because everyone needs a good night's sleep. So if you do miss, by the way, if you missed the chat, please comment on the video. Some of the videos get lots of comments, some don't. But yeah, you're always welcome to comment. Oh, Charlie, it's the morning there, Saturday morning, the start of the weekend. Okay, so Cecil misspoke. And what he said was that every time a user uses Snapchat, that it will show a location timestamp event in the Knowledge C data. That is incorrect, because if that were correct, then there's only a handful of times that the girls use Snapchat. What is correct is that every time the Snapchat app employs the camera app, that is when we get a location timestamp. So if you go back through all the data, then you would. Oh, interesting. Okay, Scott's just saying recording a video wouldn't show an audio output entry if one was played. It would show the audio output. So interesting, isn't it? Hey, Critter Mama, lovely to see you. Mustang saying you don't have a problem when people name suspects, but when people attack the girl's family, I have a problem. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't attack the girl's family. I don't really like the statements that are said about Kelsey. She was a young girl, and yeah, it makes me pretty sad. So yeah. Scott's saying the Snapchat thing had the Finder thing that would log location data if you turned it on. Was that available in 2017? Is that the Snap Map thing, Scott? I'm not sure. So yeah, curious about that. I thought that was a Snap Map, but I don't know enough about Snapchat. I have to be honest. I have used it to do those funny filters and things for fun. I did a lot of them with my babies when they were little. So we have some funny pirate babies and things like that. But haven't been a big Snapchat user. Probably only used it for a period of months here and there in my life. But he misspoke. Okay, so when you get this here, which you can see on the screen here, location timestamp near coordinates, that means that the camera is being employed by Snapchat. But just going back to what Scott was saying before, that you would see the audio output if they were watching a video, because they'd need to listen to audio. It makes so much sense. That sort of makes a lot of sense. So, which suggests that whatever that came in just here. So this is, I just realized I'm jumping all over the place. And with this technical stuff, I looked at it so many times that I might jump around too quickly. And so slow me down if you're not following, because the only reason I'm doing it quickly now is because I've looked at it about 700 times. Critter Mama, yes, I feel bad for the family too. Like, it's the worst pain imaginable. I can only imagine. God forbid losing a child or a young family member. I mean, I've lost older family members and I've lost pets, which for me feel like young family members. But the worst hell would be losing a child or a grandchild, or a niece. Yeah, my heart goes out to them. And I know that there are crimes where sometimes family members can be involved. I don't believe that's the case here. And I know people will often say, well, surely they know that this is a wrongful conviction, so why have they been so keen to agree with law enforcement? I think, again, this is where I take that approach of I guess, trying to understand the psychology behind it. Hey, Kelly, so nice to see you. Oh, you had someone murdered. I'm so sorry. That's really, really tragic. It amazes me how many people I come across who have actually experienced somebody in their life be murdered. To me, it just seems so sort of out of left field, but you're certainly not the first person that I've heard that from. Gosh, it just like my heart even stops thinking about that happening. Just horrific, right? So, yeah, I don't think we need to go after the family here. I don't think there's any indication that the family are involved in the murders of these girls. Of course, anything is a possibility. So, I'm not here to be definitive, but I don't see any indication of that in this case. Okay, so let's have a look at this. So, the screen comes on before the phone is unlocked, okay? 4 seconds before. Now, this is usually an indicator of a notification. I mean, it can sometimes be a bump, like some of these, a bumping of the screen, if the person's sort of holding the phone in their hand or in their pocket and it bumps something. But this one here, the reason we know or most likely believe that it is a notification is because we have 151 and 05. Why does this arrow keep turning around? Honestly, the only thing that I get cranky about is technology. Like, look at this. Silly technology. Anyway, okay. So 151.05. Oh, so 151.04, the screen goes on. 151.05, Snapchat app is in the foreground. And then 3 seconds later, the phone is unlocked. So to me, the reason Snapchat app is in the foreground once the screen is on is because that is what made the screen go on. And most of us know when you get a notification on your phone, if it's from Snapchat, or something similar, Snapchat in particular, because I still have Snapchat on my phone, it's always giving me notifications. Do I have one now? No, even though I don't even talk to anyone on it. Basically, I'll get it right eventually. Basically, it will light up the screen and you'll actually see that little ghost show up. So then we see an unlock. So they clearly, something prompts the unlock, which I believe is a notification. Now, movement stops at the very same time. Now, remember here, everybody, we've talked about this before. Movement stopped, movement start. This does not mean that the girls have dropped the phone or are standing still for too long. It means essentially that they've changed their pace in some way. So I believe this is potentially getting the phone out of the pocket. And so, it's basically sensing a change in movement. Honeycomb is saying, I think if I was a family, I'd want to believe law enforcement, just want to end. Yes, 100% Honeycomb. Yes, I forgot to finish off what I was saying before, but you've taken the words out of my mouth. And we see this. I mean, look, I don't have direct experience with this. The closest I can have, and again, I'm not trying to minimize this, but the closest thing that's ever happened to me is having a pet killed by another pet. A dog basically killed my beautiful pussycat. And I remember initially I was like, I called the RSPCA and I wanted things done. I wanted them to put up signs because basically it happened in the park next to my house. And they did that. But ultimately, I just wanted to forget about what happened and move on. And now, of course, please don't think I'm comparing the death of a pet to the death of a child. I'm not, but I'm just saying, I guess I know for my grief, I just was like, I just don't want to think of the horrificness of this. And I think, I've never worked with the victims of murder. I haven't. I have never had a client in that situation. I've known of people distantly that have. I don't, so I can't speak for those people, but I wonder if sometimes it's a protective response to think, yep, done, dusted. I don't want to go to that horrific space again. These families waited in agony for 5.5 years to feel like today is the day we've got someone. And so the fact that they wanted to believe this, I totally can understand that. And could it be somewhat biased? Yes, but biased not for nefarious reasons, but biased for reasons that make total sense, right? Now, again, really don't want anyone to think that I'm saying that my experience of losing my cat is the same as having a child in your family murdered. Please don't think that, but I'm just trying to get the closest I can to an experience that helps me to think about how I handled that grief. I have worked with lots of people with grief where they've lost family members, and I think in a lot of cases people do want to try to move forward with their life, not because they want to forget or not get justice for their loved one, whether it was a medical issue or something else, but because it's so hard to live your life with the pain of that every single day. And they did that for 5.5 years. So it's incredibly sad and incredibly difficult. Okay, so let's go back to the Snapchat stuff. I'm just reading the comments. So yes, we're moving on. People are talking about Snapchat stuff a little bit more. I feel really bad, guys. I hope that what I just said wasn't minimizing anything, because I know when people talk about pets versus children, people can think you're minimizing. Please don't think that way. I mean, I do love my pets very, very dearly, but I don't ever want to trivialize anyone's loss, of course, or compare losses, and certainly don't want it to seem disrespectful at all. Just sometimes it's the way I try to understand perspectives. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to have a sip of my drink. Okay, so if we look at this, we've got the Snapchat app in the foreground. They then open up the app and we've got movement stopped, movement start. So they've not actually technically stopped. However, the location stamp suggests that they were probably standing in the same sort of area for a few minutes. Honeycomb, pets are family too. It all hurts. Absolutely. Like, yeah, the worst, I've had some of the worst days of my life were losing loved ones, both human and animal, for sure. But I do know that sometimes people can find it a bit disrespectful if you sort of say that. I mean, I personally wouldn't, but that's because I literally treat my pets as though they're my kids. So I have a slightly different mindset, but I know not everyone feels that way. Okay, so we've got a location timestamp. Okay, sorry. I keep kind of starting and stopping with this. So let's go through it step by step. I'm not going to read the chat for 1 minute just to do this, and then we'll chat again. So we get the screen on, which means a notification from Snapchat comes in. The phone is unlocked. The movement stops. The movement starts, and all that suggests is that there is a change in the phone kind of movement, the accelerometer, I think it's called. We noticed the steps and distance, perfectly normal. The girls have basically got out of the car and walked for about 3 minutes. So 288 steps, pretty decent amount of steps. Slow walking, but pretty normal. Distance is a little bit short, but again, I mean, these measurements are not exact. We're talking about Apple Health data here. Okay, so then we've got location timestamp. Now, this suggests then that the camera app is being employed. So as Scott was saying before, they could have actually received a photo, but it's unlikely they received a video because there is no audio output route change, which means they're not listening to anything in terms of audio. So they've received some sort of message, whether it's a photo or a message from someone, and then they've opened up the camera. Now, this timestamp here, the location timestamp, is not an exact point at which the camera opens. It is not an exact point at which the shutter is activated. So we kind of have to take with a pinch of salt some of these timestamps, because that's just the way this data works. It's like when you send a text message or an email, it sometimes can take a minute or two for it to kind of go over the server or whatever. At the end of the day, we're not going to be finicky about every single timestamp. We're looking at the overall pattern. And the pattern here is the notification, the camera starting. We then get screen off. So that means essentially whatever they were doing has finished here, even though the timestamp is here. This is showing you the delay, right? That's not abnormal. They're locking the phone at 1:51:24. So they basically have the phone open for 16 seconds. Okay, so 16 seconds. Now, 16 seconds is a pretty decent amount of time for a snap video. Apparently, you can only do a 15-second video. So this would coordinate with them maybe opening the notification, seeing a message, and sending a quick video. Now, why do I think it's a video photo? Because we have 2 location timestamps. The photos most likely only have 1 location timestamp. So if it were just a photo, that would still be meaningful because nobody is aware of this photo. I've never heard of a 151 photo that was sent or received, and I don't know that we've seen anything like that in the official documentation. It wasn't in Cecil's testimony. I don't believe it was in Eldridge's testimony or Bunner's. Now, that's a big gap because we've heard about the other Snapchat photos before and after it. So where is this one? Now, it's not in cache, and that's not unusual because if it was sent as a DM, as a direct message, it would not be in cache. So that's not super suspicious, but it is suggestive that there's something that's been sent using the camera from Snapchat to someone else. Now, if we are not aware of that, if that's not even been asterisked, this is a bit of an anomaly. Now, anyone who watches my channel knows I don't usually say things are all an anomaly. I'm very conservative about the things that I think are important. Okay, so this to me is important because we're seeing a Snapchat event using the camera, 2 timestamps. They're about 20 seconds apart, I think, 28 seconds apart. But the full time they use the phone is about 16 seconds. So it's not a 28-second video like I initially thought. It's actually 16 seconds at most, but most likely you can't do a 16-second video. It's less than 15 seconds. So looked at the notification. If you pick up your phone now, you open up as though you're unlocking it, and you look for 1 second at a message, and then you press record. I mean, to me, that would be quite consistent with a short video. And the main reason I believe it's a video, not a picture, is that we have 2 lots of location timestamp. Now, they're the exact same coordinates, which actually, again, confirms it's more likely a video. We've got start and end, because the only other reason perhaps for the timestamp to update would be if the location changes, and it doesn't. Okay. So we're going to talk about that in a minute, Mustang. We're going to try and figure this out, right? So the 288 meters, the coordinate, etc. This is my old, the one we did last time. No, okay. I thought I might have had it on the map. So I'm going to have to open up. I'm going to open up Google Earth, guys, for the millionth time. And Google Earth is quite annoying, to be honest, to open up. I don't enjoy this app. But we're going to have a look at where they were at 151. Okay, share this tab instead. This is the thing that always bothers me, trying to get it to the right place. Okay, so making this full screen. So I can't see the chat for a minute. I'm just going to zoom in. Okay, here we go. So this is the timestamp location of that Snapchat event. Okay, so here we've got the Mears Farm entrance. This is where Kelsey dropped the girls. Okay, and then we've got them walking down here and across here in order to be here for that location timestamp, which is within 5 meters. So it's a pretty consistent location. Now, if you have a look, they're probably about a third of the way down towards on the 505 or 501. Sorry, I keep getting confused, right? So they've walked this stretch and they've still got this stretch left, which is the next stretch that they most likely walk, right? So let's go back now. And I'm going to have a quick look at the chat. So I'm just reading. So Mustang was talking about where's Bridge Guy, and Honeycomb said, I've heard theories that BG possibly came from the south side of the bridge, and once he passed the girls on the bridge, he turned around. Explains why he's not in Abby's pic on the bridge. Yeah, totally possible. Kelly's saying, Anarch is wondering if the harvester camera allowed for daylight saving regarding the time. Not sure. So I know the other day Shibby was talking about it being an hour out would make more sense than the 54 minutes I think that it was. But I still am more convinced of the FBI's verification because it matches up with the phone data, it matches up with the Fitbit data. So I tend to believe the timestamps on that. Also have a bit of an update about the camera at the Hoosier Harbour store. So we might talk about that later if we get a chance, or we might save that for another video because we're already at 40 minutes. But a bit of an update that there may be a camera on that other side. Well, there actually is in that video that I know Queen of Swords came in yesterday and had seen the news reporter in front of it in 2022. There is a tiny little camera. It's a different type of camera though. So it's not the same as the camera that was used for the Hoosier Harvester footage, the camera, and it's not the same type of camera. So it isn't one of the 4 cameras listed in that document that says there's 4 cameras. It's a different type of camera. And as far as the research I could do suggested that camera would have been focused more on the garage entryway, the driveway, and the dumpster. I don't know if it's the same in the States, but here, sometimes they may want to put a camera on a dumpster because people dump rubbish in public dumpsters. So it's a possibility. I don't know if that's the case over there. Okay. Scott is saying just hadn't come onto the bridge, obviously, so just out of sight before entering it. Yes, I agree with Scott with that one. That's probably what I think. Mustang says, yeah, but he got close so fast, unless it's because Abby was slow since she'd never been on the bridge before. Quite possible, definitely. Could be possible he's just behind for you. Yeah. Scott says, if you look at the overhead where the girls are and plot that alongside the bridge guy video, start positions, yes, it's possible. Makes sense. He let them get further along. He does cross it quick, though. BG was comfortable with the bridge, Honeycomb says. That'd make sense. Abby was going slow because she was scared. Yeah, so I've got a little bit of a theory with this, and we can let's kind of check it out together. So we now know that this event here is occurring between 1:51 and 1:51:08 and 1:51:24, 16 seconds. And then we see the screen on, screen off kind of movement. This is quite consistent with either the phone being held as she's walking and therefore she's sort of brushing against the screen. And then let's go here. Now we need the knowledge C data again. And I don't have it up. So give me 1 second and I'll get the data up. So just talk amongst yourselves for a second and I'll get this data up for the millionth time. Sorry, guys, just bear with me. I can't find it. Here it is, the Knowledge C timeline. Okay. Just having a look at the chat. So Kelly's saying daylight saving done, has to be done manually. He wondered if FBI checked that. I don't know. The only thing I know is, I guess, that the timestamps on the Hoosier Harbour store footage seem to match pretty well with other corroborating information. And that's probably the main reason I would tend to think they did, but I don't know for sure. That's for sure. No one knows anything about this Hoosier Harbour store video because no one's seen it, right? It's so annoying. Scott's talking about the videos of people filming while crossing the bridge. Yeah, they're super helpful ones. And Julie Melvin's channel is probably the best if you want to know what it looked like around the time of the crime. So she does a lot of videos in the weeks following the crimes, I believe in March 2017. So if you want to see what it looked like back then in the winter time as well, or late winter, early autumn, I think that's a really good one. Oh, sorry, early spring. Getting my seasons muddled up. That would be a good one to look at. Okay, so I've got the Knowledge C data. I'm going to scroll down to where we want to go rather than make your eyes go loopy. So give me another second. Okay. All right. So, I need to getting the comments off the screen for a minute so we can look at this data. Okay, share this tab instead. Here we go. All right, so after that, now some people have speculated that they stop completely for a period of time, and I don't believe that that's the interpretation of this data. There is no movement stop. The movement starts again. Yes, there's 2 timestamps in a similar location, 28 seconds apart. That's consistent with the girls taking that video. They might be moving their arms around, so movement is still being logged. They're not moving a lot though. But what is interesting is that whilst they are moving, they are obviously moving fairly slowly. Okay. And the reason that I say that is because the next stretch, of movement data, so I'm just trying to make this a little bit bigger for me and for you guys on the screen, is from 1:51 and 8 seconds till 2 o'clock. So it's 9 minutes. And in 9 minutes, they walk 593 steps and 367 meters. Now, that is not a lot for 9 minutes, okay? So in 9 minutes, usually, for me, for example, I would walk, and of course this varies from person to person, but I'm a little bit taller than the girls, but I could walk probably about 900 steps in 9 minutes, maybe 800. And distance wise, I'd be getting closer to about 800 or 900 meters. So I usually can walk a kilometer in about 11 minutes. I know that because I spend a lot of time at the gym just walking because that's my exercise. So, yeah. Okay, so if we plot that on the map, and I've done these distance measurements, so we go here and we go like about 300 meters, it basically gets you to the start of the bridge. Now, I've just realized I've got the wrong view here, so let's go back in time. I've forgotten how to do that. Oh, yes, it's here, isn't it? I think that's how we, is that? Oh, how do we get the historical map? I did it the other day and now I've forgotten. Is it down? I thought it was down here, but no. No? Oh, yes, it is down here. Yeah, somewhere here. Here we go. Historical imagery. I'm going to go back to 2017 because it's going to be a much more accurate view. There we go. Close that. Oh, did it just go back again? I don't even know now. Yeah, it went back again. Oh, goodness. Okay. No, it didn't. Now it's updated again. All right, so notice that that gets them to about the first trestle. Isn't that interesting? Because is that the first trestle there? Just past it, I suppose. But yeah, so it kind of roughly maps onto the first trestle. So that's the 300 and something meters. Okay. So we'll get to then, and 5 minutes later, they're over here. They're clearly meandering around here. They're not walking quickly because I believe you can walk the entire length of the bridge. Correct me if I'm wrong. Anyone who's watched the videos of people crossing it, Scott, you're pretty good with remembering this stuff. How long does it take to walk carefully across that bridge? I feel like it's about 6 minutes, maybe. It could be longer, of course, if you were trying to be more careful. So I guess what we're getting at, if we go back to Libby's phone data, is that they've then walked a very short distance in a fairly long time. Now, let's throw it out to the chat. What are your hypotheses about why the girls, they're moving, they've not stopped completely, but why they would take nearly probably around double the time to walk that distance? Any ideas? Give you guys a couple of minutes. What would be any ideas around why the girls would be walking a distance that should have taken them maybe 3 or 4 minutes, but instead it took them 9 minutes to get to the first trestle? Scott says meandering. Yeah. Any other? So bear in mind this time frame. It's this timeline. So we've got an incoming Snapchat notification as they're walking on the trails, the only time that they've used the phone after they've got out of the car. They then send a video snap potentially back to this person as a private message. Remember, at the very same time, there is a young looking bridge guy standing on the first trestle, which is where they end up 9 minutes later. And that man, according to Betsy Blair, looks as though he's waiting for someone. And Betsy Blair sees him, I would say it'd be roughly at 1:53 or 1:54. So my hypothesis is that the notification has come from the man waiting on the first trestle, a man that maybe they did plan to meet, a man that I don't believe is Kegan Kline, I don't believe is Rick Allen, but somebody who they may have intentionally been meeting that they trusted, a friend, a boyfriend, somebody they knew. And this person was waiting on platform 1. And they said, we're nearly there. We're here. They sent a video basically indicating that they were on the 501, which would be hard to tell where you were on the 501 anyway, right? And then the girls meandered down towards there. And the guy standing on the bridge sees someone coming up to the barrier, but it's Betsy Blair. It's not the girls. And maybe once Betsy Blair turns around and leaves, maybe does that guy get off the first trestle and walk towards the girls? They meet him, and then, we can see there's some screen on-off activity around 1:58. So that suggests to me that maybe the phone is put away and comes back out around that time. And so in that last 2 minutes, are they saying hello to their friend? Are they hugging this person? There seems to be something going on, and then movement stops. Again, it doesn't stop completely. It starts again straight away, but there's a change in gait again. So to me, this seems as though there's somebody who they're meeting. They've slowed down because maybe that person walks towards them and they're chatting and they're catching up. Now, people will then say, why is that person not in the pictures? Well, that person's standing with them as they take the picture across the bridge that's empty. And then the person might be standing beside Libby when they look back and take the picture of Abby. Now, where is that person by the time the bridge guy video starts? And this is all speculation, everyone. I obviously don't know this. I wasn't there. I'm not a psychic. I'm just making, I think, a fairly logical potential hypothesis. But what if that guy that they intentionally met was someone that they actually liked, that they had planned to meet? We see lots of activity going on before they leave for the trails. It seems as though somebody potentially was messaging back and forth on Snapchat with them, saying potentially, let's meet at the trails. It all seems to happen. If we look at this phone data, particularly if you look at the time before they leave, you see a fair amount of checking the phone, notifications from Snapchat, potentially messages going back and forth. We then see Libby message Anna Williams to ask if Abby can stay. It all happens quite quickly, and it's as though they were waiting and planning, and then when the plan is there, they get in the car and they go, and this person is waiting there for them. So just a theory, but I think a fairly reasonable theory. It's not a certainty, but I think it's reasonable. I'm just going back in the data because we know that Bridge Guy is initially seen around 1:30 something-ish, maybe 1:30. Just seeing, when do the girls actually get in the car? It looks as though the girls, when do they plug the phone in the car? Because that's probably a good indicator. Here we go. Isn't that interesting? If we look at the timing, everybody, the time that they get in the car matches quite well with when the girls, the four girls, saw Bridge Guy. So is that the time Bridge Guy was dropped off? Because basically they now know that there is the option of definitely seeing the girls there that day. We know the old car is seen multiple times, and I believe that that car was a lookout or a drop-off car, and that car was hanging around. And this is exactly the time the girls get in the car to leave, right? Just seeing when their last Snapchat message was, but that must be right up here. No, that's quite a while ago. So the last Snapchat message is says there's this camera message here around 12:56, around 1 o'clock. And then the next thing we see in terms of Snapchat isn't till later. So, I mean, they may have known, however, what time they were leaving. And then we get the first Snapchat image in the car at 1:39. So interesting, because it seems as though if the four girls saw Bridge Guy as they were headed towards Freedom Bridge, they stopped, I think, at the bench for a while. They were taking photos, etc. And then it seems as though if Betsy Blair sees them as she's going under the underpass, it means that Bree Wilbur, etc., would have been on the Freedom Bridge around 1:40-ish. It wouldn't take 4 minutes to cross the Freedom Bridge and to be on that small blue bridge. And so it maps pretty well, doesn't it? That if this person got on the trails around this time. So yeah, interesting. I just think that this data does seem fairly consistent with somebody potentially now knowing that they're going to be there, getting to the bridge to wait for them. He's waiting for them, sees Betsy Blair just after he's got off not got off the phone, but seen the Snapchat video from the girls saying that they're on the 501, and assumes then that was them. However, it's Betsy Blair, and she turns around, and then the guy thinks maybe he can walk towards the girls, or the girls are meeting him, and they're lingering around, they're saying hello to each other, and then they walk to the first trestle and they take a picture together. Then maybe Libby and this person walk before Abby. Abby's more nervous on the bridge. And then they take the 207 photo. And then at 207, something changes. Okay, we get that photo. I don't think that photo is unusual. It is not in the cache, but I think that there are a lot of benign reasons that could account for that. But after 207, the screen goes off. Now, movement is to shift again here. I wonder if everything's going fine at 207, because at 207, Abby does look normal in that photo. It doesn't look particularly stressful or problematic. And I actually think that at this point, everything's happy. The phone's locked. They're kind of standing there together. The phone, they're sort of moving at a normal pace, but then the pace changes again around here at 2:08. And the screen comes on just 5 more minutes later, but there's nothing else going on. They're not calling anyone. They're not messaging anyone. And that's fine because they're walking across the bridge. But I wonder if that young guy gets them onto the bridge, crosses the bridge partially with them, and then runs off ahead and goes down the hill. At that point, the old bridge guy appears behind them. And at that point, old bridge guy is nearing them and they're trapped. Young bridge guy has disappeared, the guy that they probably trusted and wanted to meet, that they felt comfortable with. And that, I believe, is why Libby then walks to the end and is looking for a path to go down. I feel as though whoever young bridge guy is potentially knew that there was another person waiting in the wings at the north end. Maybe he had come from the cemetery or come from somewhere else, but he has turned up there and he is cornering them. When they get to the end of the bridge, I think that's why Libby is freaked out. She is not just freaked out by the fact that bridge guy is behind Abby and picking up pace behind her, but maybe she's concerned that the person they came to meet has now run off and left them. Now, she's not going to leave her best friend, and that would explain why when she turns around, you do seem to hear Abby say something that sounds like a desperate, "Don't leave me." The girls are freaked out. I will not believe anyone who says that that is an innocent video. It is so clear to me that the video, sorry, is being recorded off a lock screen at unusual angles and therefore is being recorded covertly. I'm also now quite strongly of the opinion that the girls wait at the top of that area that you can slide down, and they're still hoping that old bridge guy isn't anyone scary. So they don't go down that hill until they really know there's a threat. And as soon as they know there's a threat, before he's even finished saying down the hill, I believe, when we look at the really slowed down video, that they start trying to run away. I believe they tried to run. That's how the bridge guy video stops. But I don't believe they got very far. Now, that phone drops at 2:18, whether that's what slows them down to pick up the phone or whether that the phone drops because they've been apprehended, something happens at 2:18, and beyond that time, the phone starts to deteriorate because of cold shock. The lithium ion battery reacts to the cold ground temperature, and the phone starts to plummet in battery just a couple of minutes later. That's very consistent with cold shock. It wouldn't be immediate. It would take a few minutes for the conduction cooling to start to impact the phone, but the movement stops at 2:18. The phone is then picked up again 7 minutes later. I don't know what goes on in that 7 minutes, but the phone seems to be picked up again. Maybe they're waiting for someone to pick them up. Maybe something's going on. Maybe the phone's dropped. There's a tussle. I don't know. And then they cross the creek. And unfortunately, within minutes, those girls are no longer alive. Now, I know that crossing the creek is still being debated heavily. But Stacey, I'm not even going to try and attempt to say her last name. Is it Boz? No, I don't want to say it because I don't want to say it wrong. But the DNA expert, forensic scientist, suggested that the clothes were embedded with soil. From what I've seen of the crime scene pictures, which are horrific, it does appear as though the bottom of the jeans are covered in mud. And while the shoes don't look heavily stained from the outside, apparently there was dirt embedded in them. I believe the girls crossed the creek, and I believe that they were then murdered on the other side of the creek near the crime scene, and they lay there for hours. Again, I know it's controversial. People say they should have been found. I don't know, but that forest looks pretty dense, and I don't know that the searchers were looking in the more dense private property area. I think they were looking around the bridge itself, assuming that the girls had injured themselves, not assuming they were on private property across the creek. It is so sad, Kelly. But I believe they trusted someone, and that is why they got on to that bridge. And that is a person that they Snapchatted with just a few minutes before they got on the bridge. Now, what I'm curious about is why nobody has ever mentioned the 151 Snapchat exchange. Is it simply that the digital forensic specialists have not understood? It seems that way because Cecil seems to feel as though these timestamp location coordinates are a normal part of Snapchat, that it might just be them logging into Snapchat, which unfortunately is really misguided because realistically there are lots of Snapchat events in this database, and some of us have looked at all of them and noticed that there is a pattern and that location timestamp is not on all of them, and certainly not 2 location timestamps. I'm with you on that, Mustang. We're on the same page. I think the people who say, well, they were searching and they weren't found, I just don't think that was the area people were searching, because no one believed the girls would cross the creek and be murdered. No one believed the girls would cross the creek and be injured. Why would they cross the creek? It's not surely a common thing to do, right? There is no record of the video. However, they should have been able to look at this data and know that there was a video. They should have been able to recognize that this means something's missing. But whoever received this has never come forward, just like whoever drove that old car has never come forward. And whoever that is not Richard Allen. I would not believe that Richard Allen, a man that experienced a lot of social anxiety and discomfort, who found the teenage girls that he walked past weird, is going to be on Snapchat messaging to teenage girls he's never met when he has no history of doing that? What would be the reason that Rick Allen would be engaging in this? And what would be the reason that Abby and Libby felt comfortable meeting Rick Allen at the bridge? Sure, could be a catfish, but again, there's no reason to believe that Rick Allen is a catfish. He doesn't have a history of that behavior. Nothing was found in any of the other phones that they found. I believe that this person was someone known to them. This person was someone familiar to them. And this person is hidden because Snapchat does not save messages. And if no subpoena was issued, which, let's face it, is highly likely, then they've never been able to capture this data. And I believe that digital forensic experts who are looking at lines in isolation are not seeing these patterns. Hi, RC991, and this is the reason the audio output debacle is occurring still in this community. People believe it's headphones, and it's frustrating because it's highly unlikely that it is headphones. Because first of all, iOS 10 and before, audio output route 1 is most likely the phone's internal speaker. Now, how do I know that? From research. Is it confirmed by Apple? No, Apple doesn't confirm this information. But the reality here is that there are multiple audio output route change events. The issue here is that they're not all headphones. Libby wasn't falling down that hill and putting headphones in. I can explain every single audio output event on this Knowledge Seed data sheet. Why? Not because I'm some phone expert, but because I look for patterns. And the pattern here is that audio output route change occurs after particular events. And when I do my research, it's backed up. Now, all of you know in here that I love AI, and I use AI as a research companion. I don't just put things into AI and ask, is this true? Because I've been burnt by that. We've all been burnt by that, right? Have you been burnt by that, Scott? Have you ever come up with some random journal article on magnets? Because I haven't, but I have certainly had phantom research articles show up, or research articles that are just a little bit off what I'm saying. ChatGPT likes to ad lib. However, I now use ChatGPT in a very, very different way. So RC, that's a good point, RC. 911, so they could search the creek if they thought they had fallen in and they'd been swept away. I think that is pretty reasonable for sure. Scott, you think that Libby chose to keep things hidden? Potentially. I think realistically as well, that was a default option in Snapchat. I remember when I used Snapchat, I remember using it, and I was dating someone at the time, and I wanted to save the conversation because, usually when you're in those early dating days, you want to reread your messages and stuff. So I remember having to put it on to save those. Automatically, though, it would disappear. I think as well, as far as I'm aware, in terms of the crime scene, and I'm not sure if mine's correct on this Google Earth document, which I'm going to bring up again, just haven't said, because I don't remember if I used the exact coordinates, but it isn't as close to the edge. I mean, I think I may be incorrect here, so correct me if I'm wrong. It might be closer, but it's still not that close that if you were in a canoe, you would see the bodies. They were still somewhat obscured. It also was described as like a bowl, so it went down. There's a depression, and you can even see that when you see people walking around in that area, and there are depressions in it, so you potentially could not have seen them. I don't know, Scott, which coordinates. Remember, I have no idea, and I put them in ages ago, and then I'm like, I have no idea. Sorry, I probably got the wrong coordinates. But realistically, though, it might be a little bit closer to here, but it's not right down here. I think some people say it's so close to the water. I don't know that it is. Also, we've got to remember that there could be erosion now because people are also looking at it now. It was years ago, and also we don't know again how high this was. We don't know. They described it as a bowl area. So, and remember, it would have already been getting dark around the time they were looking, right? Honeycomb, the reason we don't think that it's submerged in the creek, we did explore that angle, was because there's no water damage. So I think Honeycomb, I don't know if you've seen the cold shock theory stuff. Everyone else is probably like, not that again. Stop talking about it. It's ridiculous. But no, it isn't. And so, yeah, have a look at the cold shock theory stuff because I think you might find that does make sense because we've done quite a lot of analysis of various different possibilities. And the conclusion that I've tended to come to is that the phone has been impacted by cold, and the cold would be the ground. When it drops to the ground, we see that the phone stops moving. And then it starts again 7 minutes later. And that's the period in which we see the battery plummet. And so during that time, my feeling is that the phone then suffers from what we call cold shock, totally made up name for it. It's called thermal shock. And because of that, the phone starts to malfunction. When they crossed the creek, I believe that the creek depth, if we look at the photos the next day of the or the videos the next day of the people looking, I think the creek was probably around thigh or knee height for the girls. So potentially it could still have got damp and had splashes. It didn't have internal water damage. But yeah, I looked into the submerged theory as well, because that would also have definitely led to cold shock. I think it's possible, but I think potentially they were able to hold it up high enough that it wouldn't have got wet in the creek, or not significantly wet. Okay, so that's pretty much the main sort of the theory that I have here, that whoever that is at 151 is somebody they were talking to. I believe that is the person waiting on the bridge. And just going back, I think, Scott, you said, Betsy Blair said it's the guy in the video. Look, I don't feel Betsy Blair is deliberately making any errors. So please don't think that I ever am suggesting that any of the witnesses are deliberately lying, because I don't think that. I think, though, that Betsy Blair's memory is not perfect, because memory isn't. I think she mixes up cars. I think she potentially, there's a lot of memory contamination that goes on. Remembering particularly that a lot of the a lot of the interviews of people like Betsy Blair and Bree Wilbur, I believe, were within the 2017 ones that got recorded over or lost in some way. And so I think they're relying a lot on the 2019 discussion with Betsy Blair, which I don't think is going to be as accurate. Honeycomb, this has been, a big question. Like, why would the killer have not seen the phone and left it? I truly believe the killer knew they had a phone. I mean, I believe that potentially they were being tracked with the Snapchat and with the Snapchat. I sound like an old person saying that, don't I? I sound like my dad used to be like calling things like, I don't even know, can't think of it. But yeah, the Snapchat. I think that they knew about the phone. I think, though, that whoever did this, it's interesting because I think whoever did this has been potentially insulated from consequences, but I don't actually think that the person who did this is actually the mastermind we think. I think that they assume Snapchat, messages delete, so we don't need to worry about it. Well, they were right. They didn't need to worry about it because nobody noticed this. And I think that's also potentially why they may have left things at the crime scene that may implicate them, because they assumed that no one would worry about it. I don't think they were the mastermind criminals that we think they are just simply because they weren't caught. I think the reason they weren't caught was to do with an investigation that was at best problematic and flawed, and at worst potentially has elements allegedly of cover up. And so I do believe that they left the phone because they thought they were invincible. I believe they left the sticks, and I know Scott and I will disagree on this, but I am leaning more into those sticks being asterisks, and we know what that's related to. And I'm also leaning more into those particular group because there is a direct link of knowledge to the girls. And we all know that there is a young person who was attached to that group that knew the girls. Now, I'm not suggesting that young person was or wasn't involved. I'm just saying that there are links there that could have led to the girls trusting and going to meet particular people. Yeah, quietly concerned. I've heard other people say that they think that Betsy Blair's sketch looks like DP. Look, the only reason I don't think so is because I don't think DP was there that early. I don't think so, because otherwise I don't feel he would have not told the truth about seeing Betsy Blair and the girls. It's possible though. Honeycomb, I'm with you on the sticks. The more that I see the new exhibits, the more that I see the asterisk shapes. I just think one thing I'll concede though, Scott, I did get muddled up with the trees afterwards when I looked at the actual F tree versus the tree that was sort of carved. They do look different. I think my memory failed me on that, but I do think that the sticks are in alignment, and I do think the posing of the bodies as well is consistent with some of those pictures. I looked into what you were saying, Scott, the pugilistic. I'd never even heard that word before, but my understanding is that's related to death due to heat. So it's more consistently with burns victims and victims of radiation. Horrible images that I saw when I looked that up. So don't recommend looking it up, anybody. It was not very nice. It was pretty yuck. Yeah, so Mustang, I think that a lot of other people have also said, were they making it look like a ritual? Um, I don't think so. No, I know, Scott. I know you weren't using it firmly. I think it was definitely a good possibility, because you're right. It did look like that posture a little bit, but I think I'm still. I know you're not going to be happy with me, but I'm still leaning more towards the posing of the bodies according to some of those artworks that we've seen. So uh, I've always leaned towards that theory more than any others. Not necessarily that it was specifically a ritual, but that the offenders enjoyed those sorts of things, and therefore, just looking at Critter Mama's word, they decorated the scene in that way. I don't know that it was an actual ritual, but yeah. The main resemblance I'm talking about, I think, is the leg, the leg that's sort of bent upwards, and then the arms as well. It looks to me like the bound arms, and it's horrible. I hate talking about the bodies. I really do. But I do see some elements that match there. Whether it matches exactly or not, I don't know. I also just think that the people who, if they are the people who did this, they didn't do it because of some, idealized ritualistic reason. I think that there is a not speculative, I'm using the wrong word. I think that would be their reasoning so that they could maybe justify it to themselves that it's some ritual, but I think there is other intention behind doing what they did. And I think that then, let's make the body look, the scene look like that, because that is also something we enjoy, if that makes sense. So more like a signature as opposed to it being a ritual as such. Interestingly, because I was thinking that Mustang too. Sorry, I keep forgetting to put people's comments up when I'm responding to you guys. I was looking like that too, and I was wondering about that, and I looked up very surface level research, which is why I'm not talking a lot about Odinism right now. But the surface level research I looked at was it doesn't have to look, it doesn't have to be hanging, and also remember that would have taken a lot longer to do. Hey, Short Bus, and hey, Ted, you're back again. I think that there's a ritual element to it, but I'm not sure. But yeah, apparently sometimes when, killers are doing these sort of signature things, it's more about the representation. It doesn't have to look exactly alike. But look, I could be speaking complete rubbish right now because that was just a very surface level AI search, and we know you shouldn't do a surface level AI search. So you don't need to trust me on that. But yeah, I just think that we have people here in a group who have some pretty questionable histories, not always criminal, but in terms of reports of people who know them. And then we also have, involvement with certain gangs and certain ideologies. And we also have those people related to someone who knows the girls. There's just a lot of, again, it's all circumstantial. I'm not suggesting that that is absolutely probable cause, but I do believe it's more probable cause than Rick Allen. Because let's really be honest here. Does anyone believe Rick Allen was using Snapchat? Actually, I should do a poll. I'm going to do a poll for this. Give me a second because I've got to open YouTube to do this. Let's do a poll. Keep talking amongst yourselves, everybody. I'm just opening up my YouTube channel because I can't do it on StreamYard, unfortunately. Oh my goodness, our subscribers have gone up. Thank you, guys. We're up to 682. I can't believe it. We've got the big guns coming in tomorrow. We've got Ash, who is amazing, coming in to talk with me tomorrow about Kathy Allen's interview. Now, let's see if I can do a poll for you guys. How did I do that poll again? Oh, yeah, here it is. Start a poll. Do you believe Rick Allen was using Snapchat? And no offense to Rick at all, because I'm not suggesting that Rick is a fuddy-duddy. That's a horrible word, isn't it? Fuddy-duddy. But come on. I mean, I'm not using Snapchat anymore, and I'm actually only 1 year off Rick's age when apparently if he committed the crime, he committed the crime. Isn't that scary? It's my birthday in 12 days, everybody. And I'm going to be getting into my mid-40s, I think. I think we would classify it as, oh my goodness, where did time go? I still feel like I'm 21. My skin and body will tell a different story, though. Mustang, yeah, if things are not facts, I'm with you. That's okay if you want to ignore those, because I agree. I think it's really good to fact check for sure. Hey, Stephen, nice of you to join us. Yeah, there was no call to 911, Stephen. I know there has been discussion around that because I know there's been suggestion by some that there's some sort of 911 text message. I don't agree with that. I don't think that the data suggests that. I think that law enforcement reached out to the phone and said that 911 kind of message, that automated system message that we see come on the phone later at 4:33, I think it is. You can't have a third option, Scott. You always want a third option. No, black and white. That's what we're doing today. Black and white thinking. No, yeah, I totally understand that. Are you suggesting a maybe? Perhaps you can't go either way. You know what? It's a sign of a very flexible thinker to be able to see this middle option, right? But no, we're asking for absolutism today. Oh, thank you, Stephen. Thanks for joining us. Okay, Scott, let's look at Rick as a person and let's think about his overall temperament based on what we have available. I just don't really see any indication. He doesn't seem to like socializing, according to Kathy. Anyway, we're going to talk about that tomorrow. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, yes, you could say, well, an introverted person might socialize over Snapchat, but I don't feel like he's just introverted. We're going to talk about it tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, it's possible. I just think like right now, and I mean, this is obviously, 8 years later, I'm heading into a similar age group and I'm not interested in Snapchat. The last time I used Snapchat was years ago. I'm with you, Mustang. I do not like misinformation either. Um, or I don't mind it if, that speculation. And, I did a misinformation here, didn't I? I did a misinformation because I said this was definitely a video call. Not definitely. I said I was pretty certain, 90% certain. And then I had to backtrack because it's probably more likely a video snap. Close, I know, but not exactly right. But I think if we do provide misinformation, I think that the most ethical thing to do is to come on and say, hey, I got it wrong. And I hate being wrong. We all know that, but I will admit it. So, yeah, I agree with you. Mustang saying, if RA fully confessed, would I believe it? I just don't know how he can fully confess, though, because realistically, he has confessed, and it's a false, I believe they're false confessions. And I just don't see any way he could confess in a way that would seem genuine now. Unless, well, no, look, if he sat down the way BTK sat down and he he literally went through it in a very cold, calculated way, perhaps, maybe. Um, Look, RC991, I'm giving you a little spoiler here. I know that seems weird. I'm with you on that. I literally showed it to my mom and I'm like, what would you think? And she's like, I think that's weird. I'm going to tell you a little story. It's a bit of a spoiler because tomorrow we're going to talk about this, but I'm going to try and talk less tomorrow because you guys hear my voice all the time and we'll hear more from Ash. I say that, but I will still have the pressured speech and I can't stop myself talking. Yeah, but I'm going to give you a little sneak peek in a second. But I just wanted to respond to Mustang. You will not get blocked here if you call out misinformation. Please don't worry about that. Honestly, Mustang, do not worry about being blocked from my channel. The only reason people will get blocked from my channel is if they are being unnecessarily well, not unnecessary. Any disrespect is unnecessary. But if they're being nasty and disrespectful, they will be timed out from the chat, but they're not going to be blocked from the channel. Okay. The only people who get blocked are the people who are being consistently disrespectful and nasty and really kind of interfering with the running of the chat. And that's really only been a few people. They're usually the people who are saying things like fart and stink in the chat, right? They were the only ones we've blocked. Nobody else has been blocked as far as I'm aware from the channel. I haven't blocked them anyway. But yeah, I would not suggest that the mods should be. Honeycomb, no blocking on this channel. You're not going to get blocked for disagreeing. You're not even going to get blocked if you post an article on EMF PMSM. No one gets blocked here because we're all allowed to disagree. We're all allowed to make mistakes. We're all allowed to call out other people's mistakes. You will get less attention from me if you're dismissive and invalidating of me because that's a boundary I hold, but I still wouldn't block you from the channel because that doesn't mean that you are creating harm to the channel. So even if you don't like me, you will not get blocked from the channel because I don't subscribe to blocking people. I've been blocked from everything. So I've been blocked from Delphi Trial on Reddit, Delphi Docs on Reddit. I've been blocked by pro Rick people. I've been blocked by pro guilt people. I've been blocked by literally so many people. And anyone who listens to my channel, I think you could see that I do believe that's pretty absurd because I also don't think I've ever been really nasty and disrespectful to anyone. So interesting, isn't it? I wonder what the rules are for blocking in this day and age. And Honeycomb, yeah, I think people are absolutely welcome to block for drama though too. If they like, because it's hard, you want to keep a peaceful space. But I personally won't unless the drama is just extending too far. I should have the blocked by banner. Yeah, yes. Like, what is it? Is it Digital has that in their name, right? But like mine would just go on for pages. I've been blocked by so many people. And yes, I actually don't think it's a problem either, Mustang. I think if people are blocking me, that says more about them than me. I'm being honest here because I really do not think that I present in this space as a nasty person or as a person who's providing misinformation. And if I disagree, I'll always disagree in a way I believe that's respectful. I might get emotional like I did the other day, but I got more emotional not about the disagreement. I did. I mean, it always stings when you think that someone's saying you're wrong, but I will recover from that quickly. What I won't recover from is people being disrespectful towards me or someone else and my emotions, because I am free with emotions. I think emotions are so important. They're our nervous system's way of communicating, and nobody should ever be invalidated for their feelings. Okay. And no one will be invalidated here for their feelings unless I accidentally don't see what you're saying in the chat, in which case it's not invalidation. It's just that I'm not following what's happening. Okay. Oh, okay. Scott's been banned by a person who believes in guilt. Yeah. Look, I got banned for spreading misinformation, and the misinformation I was spreading was called the DSM-5. So anyone who has not heard of the DSM-5, it is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, the APA. So yeah. Hey, Grandma. Oh, Grandma's one of my faves. She's such a sweetheart. Please subscribe to her channel. She is absolutely gorgeous. I really love Grandma. So yes, I spread a lot of misinformation because I spread the DSM-5. I'm going to laugh because that is ridiculous. Anyone who doesn't know what the DSM-5 is, it is a Bible in psychology and psychiatry. It is not a misinformation book. Okay. So, yeah. So yeah, misinformation is having a different opinion in some Reddit forums, and it's using APA references apparently, which is interesting because that's what gets you degrees, but it is what it is. So this is the snarkiest I'm going to get, guys, and I think that that's really just calling out behavior that is, to me, unfair. Thank you, Grandma. Exactly. DSM-5, it's like our Bible. Look, to be quite honest, I, as a clinician now, have less of a focus on DSM. We do have to use it, for certain requirements. But yeah, but regardless of whether you use it or you don't use it, it is still considered a reputable source of information and certainly not misinformation. That's like saying, a journal of science is misinformation, which it isn't. It could be misinformation if you're using it to prove a point that it doesn't prove, but I'm not doing that. I pretty much know what the DSM-5 is. You'd hope so, because otherwise I probably shouldn't be practicing as a clin psych. I want other people to put like their channels on, but we don't have a mod in here, and I can make someone a mod, but I need to open YouTube up again. Oh, look at this. We got 100% unanimous. Rick Allen was not on Snapchat. So who was talking to Libby as she was walking towards the bridge then? It is Kelly. It is a real thing. And today I'm going to nominate Kelly to be a moderator because she's a lovely channel. Lovely channel. Sorry, Kelly. You're not a channel. You're a lovely person. It's getting late now. You can tell. There you go. Kelly's a mod. She is the person I've nominated today. Lots of people are welcome to be mods, but I will I'll only do a few people at a time just because otherwise everyone will be a mod. And as much as I don't have an issue with that, I'm just going to be careful. I'm not going to make Scott a mod. Do you want to know why? Because he's a guilter, even though he's my friend. I don't trust guilters. Sorry, Scott. No, you could be a mod. I do trust you, Scott. I do. Okay. I don't even know if you want to be a mod. Do you actually want to be a mod, Scott? Probably not. But I'm just going to make a mod for people who have channels as well, who want to share their channels. That's the main thing, because I don't know that we need mods. We don't actually have any major issues usually in the chat, so we don't need to worry. I'm going to make Grandma a mod because she can share her channel. There you go. No, Scott, you're already a know-it-all. We don't need to give you more power. No, I would definitely give more people mod status. but I'm like, I probably have to be selective, right? I'm guessing. I don't know. I mean, I know that there are some channels where nearly everyone in the chat's a mod, so maybe I could do that. Oh, Mustang. Look, I'm not modding most people in here, right? Don't stress about it. I don't actually look, I don't even want to be a mod because I don't like enforcing boundaries on anyone. So I don't enjoy modding at the best of times because I'm never like, oh, should I delete that? Should I not? Um, so please don't take it personally. Oh, here we go. We have one of our initial mods here. Nicole's here. Hey, Nicole. That would be like saying the PDR is misinformation. Like, oh, this is the problem. I think people's definition of misinformation is quite loose. Certain things that are clearly not misinformation are termed as misinformation, and certain things that are not misinformation. Oh, I don't even know what I'm saying anymore, guys. It's 9:35, but we've got lots of people in here. Who else thinks that the girls were video or snapping the person waiting on the bridge? Let's put that new poll up. Let's see. I had to Google the difference between mis and disinformation, Scott. I actually didn't even know. You know what? I've learnt so much since I've been doing Delphi stuff because, like, straw man theory, and there's all sorts of things. I hear all these things, and I was like, what? I never even knew these things. Okay, I'm creating a new poll. Who believes that the girls were Snapchatting young bridge guy as they approach? Sorry, I'm just like reading out as I type it. MHB. Start a poll. You can't say don't know. Don't ask for a third option. You're right, Scott. It is about intent. So misinformation is saying I don't. Is giving information that's wrong but not realizing it. Disinformation is deliberately giving information that's wrong. Mustang, honestly, please don't worry. I'm not giving lots of people mods. I think that at the moment I'm really just keeping it to very few people, and it's mainly people who really don't have who have their own channels essentially and can share their channel. That's the main thing. Okay, we don't even need mods most of the time. Nobody has been blocked for a long time. I think it was the first few chats we had a few trolls come in who were making nasty comments and they got blocked. Nobody else has been blocked from my channel. I don't intend to block anybody. If they spread misinformation, we will just politely call it out. Unless somebody is disrespectful, nasty, mean, and bullying, they can stay. Okay? So please don't worry about being a mod. Okay? No, I'm not even worried about losing followers, Mustang, right? I'm just saying there are a few people who have their channels who I watch and follow, and I'm like, share your channel. That's all. Okay? Please don't worry. Okay? Nobody gets blocked from this channel. I wouldn't even block the people who have bullied me in the past if they come in here and they operate in good faith. Okay, I don't hold grudges. I probably should. I trust very easily, and that's why I get burnt very easily. Okay, I've been burnt a lot by people. And I'm sure lots of us have been because a lot of us people in this sphere are sensitive, empathic people. But yes, if all the people who've been mean to me came in now and engaged with my content in good faith, I would welcome them in. Okay, so please, everybody know that. And I'm not just saying that to be nice. I honestly would rather we're all friends. But I just know there are some people who just don't want to be my friend no matter what I do. So it is what it is. No, none of the mods block. I actually looked at the block list yesterday because I hadn't done it for a while. I don't really know how to do it most of the time. I find it not very intuitive, but I looked at it and the only people blocked is, I think it's literally one person who had multiple accounts who was coming in and saying like really mean, not even mean, just really absurd things about farts and stuff. Okay. That's the only person or people that would get blocked. Okay. I wouldn't even block you, Keith, if you came in and were kind in the chat, but I would block someone if they come in and they call people names. That's not allowed. They wouldn't be blocked. They'd be timed out and they'd get a warning. Okay. But we haven't had any of that. Like, I literally rarely have that happen in here. I know we've had some drama about people who don't get on with each other. We all have those moments, as we all know. I've had those moments as well. That's totally okay. We're human. We're allowed to sometimes be annoyed at each other. Okay. From here on forward as well, I just don't want anyone to think they're being tone policed in here. The only thing I ask is that people be kind. Oh, sorry, Mustang. I didn't realize that we hadn't shared your link. Please, anyone can share their links in here, okay? Everybody's links are allowed, unless your link is to some Vinlander white supremacist gang, in which case don't share it, even though some people believe that I am a white supremacist, which is quite laughable. I'm not, clearly, guys. I think you all know that. Anyway, so I'm not looking at the poll. I'll have a look at it in a minute. Oh, I'm not. Am I on the stage? There I am. Oh, look, my hair's got all funny. Hello, everybody. My hair's growing, by the way. So for everybody, we've talked a lot about Delphi. Let's talk about me now. No, my hair. Can you see, guys? So I'm now, 2.5 years post chemo, and my hair would be a lot longer. But when it grew back, it was all thin here. It's still weird. You can see it's growing at different angles, but I'm super excited because I'm getting close to it being a bob. How good is that, right? Oh, I felt so sad about my hair for so long. It was exactly 3 years ago, pretty much, that not exactly, but nearly 3 years ago, that the cancer was removed from my body, and I cut my hair ready for chemo, and I cut it short and shorter and shorter, and had some weird trendy styles with it shaved here, which I would never have done. I've always had long hair my whole life. Like, shortest I had was a bob, and I thought it would grow back. And I knew it was going to take a long time, but unfortunately, when it grew back, this area here was literally thin. You can still see this is new hair now growing in. So I'm finally starting to like it a bit more, but I cannot wait till I can tie it up properly and blow dry it again and do my GHD waves. I've got curls still. I am naturally curly, but I also have got chemo curls too. So thank you guys for the compliments. I haven't felt like feminine, and there's nothing wrong with not feeling feminine, but I am quite a feminine person. I haven't felt feminine for a long time. I wore wigs initially, but that was so uncomfortable, and extensions are uncomfortable. So I've had to have this length hair and thinner for so long. So now I think I'm at about 80% density. So if anyone needs tips to increase the density of their hair, my ChatGPT research helped me do that too. How cool is that? Because I didn't want to use Rogaine or minoxidil because it is toxic to cats, and I have OCD, and even the slightest possible chance of causing any harm to my cats is not worth it. I'd rather have thin hair than do that. So instead, I used some other ideas, which I will share actually, because I need to update my cancer part of my channel now. Now that I have more subs, they might actually go up in the algorithm if I do some better thumbnails, because I want that content to go up in the algorithm for the people who are going into doing the Red Devil chemo and dealing with breast cancer, because it's a pretty scary journey, and I hate that people would have to do it on their own. Thank you for all the compliments. I really appreciate it. Oh, that's very kind of you guys. I didn't say, so I'm going to finish up in a minute, but I didn't say, I don't know if RC91's still in here. So here's what I think, because we're going to get Ash on the show tomorrow, and she is going to do a live with us. So it's going to be in approximately, because I never know your time zones, in approximately 14 hours. So that'll be a good time for the North American people. And I'm going to let her do a bit more talking. But here's my story. I don't know if anyone's heard this. I think I've said this before. So people with OCD, particularly, sometimes confess to things they didn't do, or worry that they'll be accused of things they didn't do. Okay. So I have treated OCD throughout my career. I have OCD. I was diagnosed when I was 17 years old, and I've had lots of different symptoms of OCD through my life. And I have got scrupulosity OCD. So, scrupulosity OCD is where you're constantly worried that you're a bad person. So sometimes it can be more religious. Mine isn't, because I'm not particularly religious. I would say I'm agnostic. I have bordered on atheist at times, but I'll say I'm spiritual nowadays, more so, but I definitely am not religious in terms of organized religion. But since a young age, I've worried about being a bad person. Um, I'll say I'm evil, I'm nasty, I'm mean. When I argue with someone, I get really, really upset about who I am as a person. I worried I didn't have enough empathy. I've worried that I'm a narcissist. I've worried, yeah, lots of things throughout my life. Oh, lots of you guys have similar diagnoses to me. Lots of us neurodivergent people in here. Anyway, so why? Yeah, same, Scott. That's kind of where I sit too. Um, so I've had times in my life where I've worried about doing something that would get me into trouble that I would never do. Okay. Um, Really good example here. When I was at uni, I was so worried I would accidentally cheat that I would do my exams like this. And if I even thought I looked even to the side for a second, I wasn't deliberately cheating, I literally would answer questions wrong to compensate. It actually makes me sad now. I feel sad for, 19-year-old Amy, who was a real psych geek and could have probably done even better than I did. I did well at uni. I was really happy with how I did, and I got to do my master's in clinical psychology, which is what I wanted to do. And I did well and got the job that I wanted to. But yeah, I can say that there were many multiple choice exams where I deliberately answered questions wrong to penalize myself for the cheating that I wasn't doing. So, this is why I feel so passionate about understanding Rick's mental health. Now, I can't diagnose him, I can't make any sort of qualified decision on his diagnosis, but all I hope is that if and when he's reassessed, which he should be, that they look at OCD, that they look at other neurodivergent angles here. When I read some of the stuff that Kathy says, and particularly when we put it together with what we see of his early life history, there's this persistent theme of him struggling in social environments. Now, I've loosely said he's socially anxious before, but I definitely feel like there could definitely be hints of other types of neurodivergence. And again, I'm so cautious now because I don't want anyone to say that I am diagnosing him, because I'm not. I've not met him. But going by the publicly available information, there are certainly some markers there that could be consistent with OCD, autism, ADHD, and Ash and I will talk about this more. She is an expert in the area of autism and neurodivergence in general. I'm somewhat of an expert, but I have learned a lot from her. But I'm probably more the expert in OCD, so that's why we're a pretty good team together. She's an expert in trauma, and hey, Ali, nice to see you. Um, Oh, I'm so glad that's helped, Ali. A lot of people don't know that it's OCD, scrupulosity particularly. I went to a neurodivergent conference just a month ago, actually. And when we were at the conference, I was talking about scrupulosity OCD. And so many of the clinicians there who are, very well informed on neurodivergence weren't aware of the scrupulosity subtype. And even if you Google it, a lot of the time you, or, you look at the sort of, YouTube videos and things, a lot of the time what you hear about is more the religiosity type of scrupulosity. But there's a whole group of us who are atheists or agnostic. We're not religious, but we're still constantly fighting with our morality. And what's so interesting is the majority of my clients who have scrupulosity OCD are hyper empathic people. They're the people that you would literally trust to never do anything deliberately harmful. And it's so interesting because, it runs in my family. So there are young people in my family that already show indications of this as well. And it's always the same people like myself who will save, a spider from the pool, even though I'm scared of spiders. Like the other day, I spent half an hour trying to save one of those tree frogs from the pool because I didn't want it to die, even though the tree frog bloody drives me nuts every night with that awful noise. I wouldn't hurt a fly, but I've spent my whole life worrying that I'm a bad person. I'm getting a lot better now. I've definitely had a whole shift in how I see myself more recently. And I think that's also coincided with me there now sticking up for myself and being more confident as well. I hadn't understood for a long time. I knew I had OCD, but I hadn't understood all of the other aspects of how my brain works and why I felt so much shame. But I did. I had a lot of shame. And so anyone who did see what happened the other day, that's what came up. When I feel shame and it's not validated, it really destroys my nervous system. And I get more and more upset. And that's a trauma reaction. So, yeah. So I always add some psychology into my live streams, particularly towards the end. We get all philosophical and psychological, but I think this stuff is so important. And this is the content that you will see when I finally set up my actual psychology channel. Ash and I are going to do that over the holiday period. I'm going to set up the camera, the tripod, the mics. We have actually, I know, Scott, you've suggested a podcast before. Well, we started recording a podcast, but we're both perfectionists and we both have ADHD. And so we couldn't stop trying to edit things out. And we felt too self-conscious. So we're going to try it again. So the two of us work together, and when we're at the clinic and we're chatting in the lunchroom or in supervision, everyone's like, this is so interesting. And we're like, we should record this. But then as soon as you put a camera on, you start overthinking it. And that's why I tend to just do lives now, because when I try to do pre-recorded videos, I overthink it. It takes too long to edit and it ends up being mechanical. Are your comments not showing, Mustang? I can see your comment on the screen. Here, I'm going to highlight you. There you go. There you are, Mustang. Do you know what, Mustang? Initially, I thought you were the person in this picture, but then someone said you're a girl. Yeah, we can see Mustang. So let's go back to the poll. And now, we got 50% of people saying yes. There you go. Okay, all right. I'm going to end this poll, and let's do a poll about OCD. Okay. Start a poll. Do you have symptoms of OCD? There you go. Start a poll. Is that Doug Carter, Mustang? There you go. Now I figured out that it would have to be someone from Indiana State Police, but I didn't realize before, so I just assumed that was you. Isn't that funny that we just assumed the picture? Quietly Concerned says, your family has a high level of OCD. Yeah, it's such a tough one. And it does tend to co-occur with a lot of the other neurodivergences as well. Yeah, so I've said before, OCD, ADHD. I definitely have autistic traits. Not sure that I would meet full criteria to say I'm an autistic person, but certainly autistic traits. Depression. I always call it like neurodivergent trauma, and it can certainly have signs of CPTSD, generalized anxiety. I had social anxiety when I was younger as well. So yeah, lots going on in this brain. You guys are great. Honestly, I did not think this chat was going to end up being so busy at this time. We started at an odd time, but honestly, I love it. Scott, you don't have OCD. Oh dear. Okay, there you go. We can do the Y box on you. No, actually, we can't. I'm not allowed to do that. I'm joking, clearly, guys. Not diagnosing anyone here. Oh, grandma. Okay, autistic. Most of my closest friends are. Actually have autistic traits. So yeah, I noticed before I specialized in neurodivergence, like OCD is considered neurodivergence. Um, but yeah, before I recognized my own neurodivergence, I would just sort of always attract neurodivergent clients, and I realized that it's probably, they feel comfortable with me because I get it. You know, I have queried whether I am autistic for a long time. It's so hard to know when you've got multiple layers of neurodivergence. It's like it's so hard to like kind of isolate what's going on. But yeah, so that's why I usually just say like neurodivergent, particularly. But I can see that there's definitely room to do some more discussions about OCD. But yeah, so going back to Rick, I would query that. So yeah, if I were to assess Rick, if he were to be a client of mine, which he couldn't be, of course, that would be a conflict of interest given the channel that I run. But yeah, I would absolutely be looking at some autism measures. I'd be looking at ADHD measures. I would be getting corroborative information from his mum, from his stepdad, his sister, and obviously from Kathy. I'd be doing the Y box. Yeah, unfortunately, I think that in forensics, a lot of the time they use the MMPI, which is not, I believe, as sensitive to identifying those things. And yeah, personally, as a clinician, I don't jump to personality disorder as a primary diagnosis unless we've really ruled out so many other layers first. So yeah, personally, I I've told you before, I'm not convinced about dependent personality disorder, but again, I didn't assess him, so I can't say for sure whether he does or doesn't meet criteria. The thing is, you can meet criteria on a self-report measure, but not meet criteria officially. So, there's often times where people will meet criteria on ADHD screeners, but then when you look behind it, you go, well, that hasn't existed since childhood. It's linked to trauma, it's linked to depression. So, yeah, you've really got differential diagnosis is really important. You need context, you need to understand history. So, it's a tricky one. And it's hard to do in a few hours. I think that would be really hard, forensic assessment, because the only time I've ever had to write something for a client for court, I've been doing a treating psychologist report, and I know the client well, so I would not usually meet somebody and then do a report within the first few sessions. The majority of people who I've ever helped out in terms of court staff would be clients that I've had for some time, so I can really give a lot of context and understanding when I'm diagnosing them. It's very tricky to diagnose people otherwise. What is it called when someone starts a drama queen? Um, it's again, it's context, right? I think, sometimes people might seem more dramatic because they have rejection sensitivity. They might have a trauma history. They might be, yeah, a highly emotional person as well, and therefore more reactive. It's so layered. I'm so glad that everybody in here is just open and happy to be vulnerable and share, the various kind of ways that their brain works. Because I think this is where we take the stigma away. There is no stigma in any of this, and yeah, there's a lot of misdiagnosis. Yes, Scott, 100%. The amount of times that I will get somebody in adulthood where I meet them and within a few sessions I'm like, OCD, ADHD, ASD, and nobody has even suggested it. I mean, even children. I'll see children who've, seen pediatricians, speech pathologists, OTs, and to me, I'm seeing a lot of markers for neurodivergence and it hasn't been explored. It gets missed really easily, and I'm hoping we'll get better at this over time. I can't believe we've got so many people still watching. We're not talking about Delphi anymore, but everyone's kind of happy. Hey, Shay, always lovely to see you. YouTube diagnoses, yes, we wouldn't trust those. Well, look, any professional that is diagnosing you on YouTube, that's not within our ethical code. We should not be diagnosing people on YouTube. So yeah, for sure, I will talk about diagnoses. I will speculate, on publicly available information and the diagnostic considerations, but yeah, we should not be diagnosing on YouTube, and we should not be treating people on YouTube. Again, we can offer general suggestions of things that could be helpful, but yeah, you got to be super careful with this stuff ethically. Yeah, it's interesting as well because people think that if you're a psychologist, you're walking around diagnosing everyone, and we really aren't. Like, literally, I think the only time that I start to really sort of delve into a person's psyche is if I end up like having either a strongly negative connection or positive connection with them, as a friend or in a relationship. I don't usually go in kind of looking for diagnostic terms. Um, yeah, so Scott, actually, so I was just saying, yeah, so Ash and I will be doing a podcast. So that will be, hopefully, we'll start to kind of gain momentum with it. We want to get some professional photos done together, not, those really scripted ones that look like, this, like a psychologist. We want to get like more casual, relaxed ones. We want to design a logo. There's just so much we want to do, but both of us are always juggling a million things. So we will do our podcast together because we bounce really well off each other. But yeah, I am writing a book. I say that I haven't written it for many months now because I've been doing Delphi, which is fine. That's what I've chosen to do right now. The book is on hold, but it will definitely get back into process eventually. I say when this is over, but this is obviously going to take a lot longer than I'd initially thought. But yeah, and that will have its own website. So that, sorry, an own YouTube. And that's what I got. That's why I wanted to do YouTube. I never intended to do this. This was always going to be like a little arm of it because I like doing this. Like I wanted to do like the psychology of Michael Jackson and the psychology of Britney Spears, basically like, pop psych stuff as well. But I never thought this would be the major arm of stuff I would do. I thought that I would mainly do my other stuff, which is about it's a framework in terms of like understanding yourself, very much based on like parts models and compassion based approaches. So yeah, it's kind of a synthesis of a lot of psychological models and therapeutic models, and I'm really excited about it. And it's entwines a lot of my own personal experience. So I'm kind of doing that here, and I guess what I've done with the Delphi content is I feel like it's kind of pivoting into that. But yeah, it'll be very separate because I want a lot of you guys to see that channel, but I actually want to keep it quite separate from this channel too because of the trolling. So it will be my own secret channel that I will only share with some people. Hey Zeke, nice to see you. Oh no, what's happened, Mustang? No drama in here, okay? You'll buy my book. Thank you, Scott. You'll get to find out a lot about me in my book. So the premise of the book is a framework explained in kind of not simple terms, but yeah, like not jargony. And the idea is you're walking hand in hand with me because it's my journey through a lot of those principles. So a lot of the stories I'll share will be amalgamations of client stories, but more importantly, my story. Because I have so many layers to my own life, I have a lot of rich experiences to share to point out a lot of the concepts. So yeah, it'll be based on, it's basically anyone who knows much about therapy, internal family systems, schema therapy, compassion focused therapy, CBT, of course, and dialectical behavior therapy, acceptance commitment therapy, like basically, you name it, I'm finding the common threads of all the models and have created a framework. So it's not a new model. It's based on existing models, but it's about the amalgamation of it all together. And you'll know from watching this channel, that's kind of what I like to do. Integrate lots of information, find the common patterns. So yeah. Goodness, we've been going for 2 hours and we just keep going up in audience. Has anyone got any questions actually before we finish up today? Any questions, comments, can be Delphi or psychology related? Bye, Mustang. Thank you for joining us. Please rest assured you are a very valued member of the channel, okay? Yeah, I'm an integrative practitioner, Scott. So I don't subscribe to one model and say it's better than the others. I definitely lean more towards certain models. Anna, great to see you again. You're not, it's okay. I started super early today, so no need to apologize at all. You guys are just the best, honestly. It's been really uplifting to do this live tonight. So, about a third of our audience today relates to having OCD. That's interesting. And two-thirds don't. But that is still obviously a pretty high representation of OCD here because I don't know what the recent prevalence rate is, but I know historically it used to be about 3% of the population. So, yeah. But I think obviously prevalence rates are an underestimation because a lot of people go undiagnosed. Agree, Scott. We definitely need to take a case by case approach when we are. Oh, thanks, Mustang. And please, Mustang, never worry that you're being blocked. You're not blocked from the channel, okay? We really appreciate you being here. Yeah, our treatment, our therapeutic approach needs to be based on a conceptualization. So I don't tend to use any sort of manualized treatments anymore. Early in our career, we often do because we don't have the confidence sometimes. And I get that. But that's what the framework that I'm working on is meant for, really. Essentially, it's meant for people who are starting out in their career, particularly, or people who don't have a background in psychology, being able to have a more integrated understanding of themselves. So, yeah, I supervise quite a few junior staff members, and I think it makes some of these more complex models a bit more accessible because otherwise you've got to do like thousands of dollars worth of training in so many models, and nobody actually has enough time to do that a lot of the time, I mean, and also the money to do that. So it's trying to make that more accessible. Hey, Nature Love, lovely to see you. Oh, thanks, Quietly Concerned. Yeah, I mean, I felt a bit bad the other day. I'm going to be honest. I got a bit defensive, and I didn't love that. I think I'm allowed to have my emotions, but I feel like I could have probably cut it a little bit earlier as well. And I definitely need to just let it go if there are people out there that don't like me or want to dismiss my ideas. I just have to trust that people who come here and watch my channel, take me seriously and not worry if others don't. But I think, sometimes you swing between, like, I've been very passive my whole life and I tend to just like roll over. But then I've now sort of swung the other way and been like, no, enough, and setting limits. But I think I kind of want to rest in this middle place because I don't want people to feel uncomfortable coming to this channel. That's not the point. But I also don't want people to feel like you have to suppress emotions because that's also not at all the message that I want to set. But I think there's a time and place. That's all. And I think I maybe want to consider that a bit more moving forward. But the vibe of the channel has been wonderful over this weekend. It's definitely picking up. And tomorrow I'm so excited because I will have my best friend with me on here. So, yeah, super, super excited. How about growing teeth? Yes. Do you know what I do? Okay. Here's a little bit of insider scoop on me. I think most of you know that I call myself like the Taylor Swift of psychology and true crime because I definitely feel like I feel like Taylor Swift has a lot of my energy, or I have a lot of her. No, she has my energy. I was born first. I'm not a Swiftie in the sense of like I don't follow every single song and album and things like that. I didn't go to the Eras tour. Because me and the boys went to see Louis Tomlinson instead because we love Louis. But I do love Taylor. I think she's got some wonderful albums, love Folklore particularly. But yeah, when I'm feeling particularly empowered by setting my boundaries, I put Look What You Made Me Do on. I love that song. I don't trust nobody and nobody trusts me. I love it. It's like, it's just, yeah, it's so reminiscent of sometimes how I feel when I've been kind of cornered and I'm like, enough. Do not corner me anymore, people. Like, I am being kind. I don't deserve this. And that's self compassion and that's boundaries. It's not nastiness. So I encourage everybody to do that. Okay, next poll. Next poll. Who in here likes Taylor Swift? Here you go. We're going to do a fun poll here. It's Saturday night. We might as well have some fun. Okay. And it's binary again, just yes or no answers. I like these polls. It's fun. Oh, Critter Mummy, you don't like Taylor Swift? Is that what the vomit's about? I like Taylor. I do like her. You know what? It's interesting. Like I said, I wouldn't say that I've been like a solid kind of Swiftie throughout. There are certain songs though that resonate so much for me. Oh, Scott, are you going to be a negative against Taylor? Mm-mm-mm. We're gonna like argue over Taylor Swift and Rick Allen. It's complicated. I would agree, RC991. I think it can be complicated. I do like Taylor. I think there's lots of things that she does really well. I think she's an incredibly intelligent person. I think she is incredibly intelligent. I do really kind of resonate with a lot of her lyrics and her overall experiences in life. I'm not so sure about the recent era. I mean, like I haven't really listened to a lot of the music, but I do feel like she's changed a little bit, and we all do, and that's okay. But yeah, I'm not as convinced by it. It happens to a lot of artists, and they grow and they go in different directions. So, not big on billionaires. No, I'm with you on that. I understand that. I think does Taylor do a lot with like a philanthropy? I don't really know. I don't follow pop culture a lot. I have my Taylor Swift lyrics that I share. Majority of them are from Folklore and Red because they're the albums that I love. But yeah. Yeah, I agree, Shay. It happens a lot with fame. Just wait, guys. I'll be here changed in a little while. I'm getting super famous with my what are we up to? 680 subs? Let's have a look. Look, I got a Snapchat notification. I never use Snapchat. Why does it give me so many notifications? Let's see. View channel. Here we go, guys. We are up to 682. 682. It's good. That's good. Solid growth. I can't even believe it, guys. Every day there's more people coming. So thank you. Now, okay, you know what? We're going to end on a really funny note. Okay, I'm going to look at the Taylor Swift answers. Oh, okay. We've not got a lot of Swifties in here. Goodness me. We're not into Taylor on here. Okay. It's moving. Oh, it's going down. The nose are going down. All right. So we're gonna end on something really funny. I just had a flutter in my stomach because it's really ridiculous, but it's funny. And I made my kids laugh with this. So I'm gonna going up and down this poll. Should I keep the poll going? I'll keep the poll going because you guys are enjoying the poll. I'll keep that going till the end. And now I'm going to show you guys something very funny about me because we're going to make fun of Amy. And this is so funny. I don't even know how I didn't realize this until recently. And when I did, it was too late to change it. But I showed my boys the other day and they thought it was very funny. Okay, so let's share this tab. Bring this up. Okay, so this is my channel. So we can promote my own channel while I'm on my channel. But let's find the funny thing that we're getting to. So I'm going to go down, right down. Right down. It's nothing here is funny, but there is something funny coming up. Okay, now these were my initial videos. Okay, not that funny, the videos. I just want you to look at this. And does anybody see anything particularly funny? This was a logo I designed for Daisy before I had the full Daisy Asks logo. Have a look at that. And in the chat, tell me, what is it that's funny about that? And your time starts now. Anyone going to guess? What do you think is funny? Have a look at that picture. Looking at my old Daisy Asks picture when I was trying to pretend that I was a British person. Oh, Karina Mama doesn't know. Oh, hey, Dave. Lovely to see you. We're doing a little quiz here. What's funny about the picture? Obviously, not the Daisy Asks logo because we've already got that. Yes, Grandma got it. You got it, Grandma. Can you believe that? I am a psychologist and the brain is backwards. And that was, you know what? I should have pretended it had some bigger, deeper meaning, shouldn't I? I should have pretended that there's a whole reason for that, right? My brain is backwards because I'm just so different. So I've just wanted to look different by putting my brain backwards. But no, I just didn't realize it. This is ChatGPT, guys. Do not trust ChatGPT. ChatGPT made this logo for me, and I trusted ChatGPT. Hey, USA Libertarian. Yes, AI. AI, naughty AI. But I didn't, how did I not see this? I'm a psychologist. Yes, it's more than a bit embarrassing. I agree, Scott. I didn't need to show you guys, did I? Yes, exactly, Grandma. I should have said it was neurodivergent. My brain's backward. It's like showing you that my brain is different. My kids laughed. Okay. My kids laughed at this. It is funny. I own it. I love laughing at myself because there you go. Quietly Concerned's got a good reason too. If you were told your brain was in backwards, mine probably is too, right? I can't believe though that nobody who disliked me back in the day pointed this out because they could have made so much fun of me. But you know what, guys? I got in first. I made fun of myself. So now if anyone makes fun of it, it doesn't matter because I got in first. Backwards brain. There you go. Backwards brain. Interesting that nobody noticed until I pointed it out, though. But I thought I better because one day when they find nothing else to mock about me, they'll probably find this. So I won't change the thumbnail, or should I? I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, see, Scott, you should be ashamed of yourself. You didn't notice either. That's embarrassing, isn't it? For someone who's watched my older videos. I mean, ChatGPT, what are you thinking, ChatGPT? I'm not dyslexic, Shay. I can't even use that. Goodness. I mean, my face faces my back. Doesn't that happen for everyone? Only joking, guys. Only joking. I know. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Like, I really, it's so funny, guys. I love laughing at myself. You know, have you guys actually watched my short? Again, I think some of you may have. Let's put this on too. Because it's Saturday night comedy for me. It's Saturday morning for you guys. This is the other thing that makes all of my kids laugh. This was unintentional. Oh, no, not this. This is somebody else's short. No, I'm trying to do this. This was totally unintentional, but it turned out to be so gold, and we still laugh about it. Here it is.
Hello, everybody.
Oh, it's muted. You need the sound for it. Mm-hmm.
We are making a cooking video today. We are baking Pippa's birthday cake. And by we, I mean me and Spooky because it is Pippa's party tomorrow.
One second, I just realized I'm playing the sound on here and there. If I mute this, can you guys still hear it? You've already seen it, Nicole. It makes me laugh and makes my kids laugh every single time. And I honestly can tell you, it was not planned. And I honestly can tell you, it was not planned.
cooking video today. We are baking Pippa's birthday cake. And by we, I mean me and Spooky because it is Pippa's party tomorrow. He has just turned 6 and we're having a very special birthday party. So it's time, Spooku, for us to, look at Spooku, he's very happy about this, to start baking the cake. So let's get started. Okay, let's put this here, Spooku. Now, Mummy is also only wearing her t-shirt and no shorts, so don't look at my undies. But let's talk about the cake. So Pippa doesn't like to have flavoured cake, so we're making a nice plain cake for him. He does like banana, or what he calls banana and pear, but Mummy doesn't really put the pear in, it's just banana most of the time. And so we thought, though, that his friends might not all want banana cake. So we've instead made the decision to do butter cake. So we're opening up our 2 butter cake packets because Mummy can make the cake from scratch. But why do that when we know that the cake mix one's cake yummy anyway? Okay. Right, so I'm probably not going to record every step of this because that's going to be a bit boring. But we put in the cake mix and we're going to add some eggs and some butter. And what else? Oh, I think some milk. And we're going to add some milk too. And Mummy's going to go get the tin. So we'll pause for a minute. Okay, back on camera now. Where's Spooky? There he is. And we also have 2 other people who I would loosely define as helpers. There they are. Can you see them? Oops, there they are. They're not really helpful, but we'll still call them helpers. All right, now Mummy has just cleaned up the cake tin. So we're ready to put the cake. Actually, no, we're not ready to do anything because we still only have this. We haven't even put the eggs in. Okay, so let's get the eggs and let's crack 4 eggs into the bowl. 1. Oopsie, I cracked an egg in the packet. Don't copy my video, guys. When you're making cakes. There we go. Oh no, I don't have enough eggs. No, I've just tipped another egg out. Okay, right, so we're going to have to try and get that egg off here. Oh dearie me. This is not working out the way we planned. So, okay, let's tip that in. Next step is, I think we're going to need to get some more eggs. This egg is stuck. Why is this egg stuck? Okay, never mind. Let's add this egg. And this other egg is not savable, so we are going to need to go to the... Hello, everybody.
Is it bad that I'm still laughing at this video after so long? It's just, I love it. So funny. My boys love it. It makes them laugh every time. It's one of our classics. So anyway, guys, I'm going to go now because it's nearly 10:30. I hope that you guys will have a lovely weekend. I will see you guys in about 13 hours with Ash, and we'll talk about Kathy Allen's interview. We'll talk a bit more about Rick. We'll see if Ash also believes that some of those statements that seem suspicious may be indicators of neurodivergence. So again, we're just going to, both of us speculate. We're not going to diagnose, but we will offer an opinion based on what we can see in the publicly available information. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much. I really, really, really always appreciate your support. I hope that you enjoyed today's video. Think about that Instagram. Oh, I said Instagram again. That Snapchat at 1:51. See what you think. Let me know in the comments, people on the replay. Super keen to hear your thoughts. Good night. Have a great day.